Everybody, this is Oscar from the sidehustleplaybook.biz. In this episode, I wanted to go over an article that we posted on our blog at sidehustleplaybook.biz, basically discussing print-on-demand basics. Got quite a few questions on that. Again, it was just meant to be an introductory blog post, but I thought I'd do this video that goes a little bit more into detail in what print-on-demand actually is, and if it's something that could be a good side hustle for everybody out there. Basically, let's just start off and kind of define what print on demand is. And that's basically when you order something, just like it sounds, it is printed as you order it. They use what's called DTG, direct-to-garment printers, and that allows them to almost print a what you see is what you get type of thing. So if there's an image, a picture, it'll print that directly onto the garment, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's a hoodie or anything like that. That differs a lot from screen printing. I'm sure if you have ever been a part of a organization or a team and needed to get t-shirts, you go to a screen printer, your local shop. There's normally going to be minimums. They're usually going to want minimum of 10 to 20 shirts before they'll even do an order for you. There's always going to be extra charges when it comes to colors because each screen needs to be set up for each color. So normally you'll see screen printing. It'll be, 2 to 4 colors, and usually more than that gets a little bit tougher and a little bit more expensive. Where print on demand comes in is it just can do a printer can do one out of the box, because they're just hitting, there's no real setup fee or setup time that you need as far as a printer having to print that design. So on these direct to garment printers, they just hit print just like you would if you're printing a Word document, and it goes right through and it goes right on the t-shirt, and there's some stuff that goes in between that, but it's a much easier or much faster process to do onesie, twosie type of orders. Of course, if you have a shop and you get an order for 100 shirts that's a couple colors of screen printing is always going to be the best, and it's always going to be the best quality, I think. I've seen, I love screen printing, but DTG does, and print on demand does have a good little niche for us that are looking, if you're looking to start a brand or if you're looking to, make some money printing t-shirts. Now, how can you get involved with print on demand? There's different ways to do it. One way is basically going on a platform like Amazon, Merch by Amazon, that it's called, Redbubble, Teespring, services like that. Basically, they're a website. You're going to go in, you're going to upload your design to a garment, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's a sweater, and then from there you save it to their website, and, folks visiting Amazon or visiting Redbubble find your shirt and buy it, and you get a few bucks per shirt. Normally on the Redbubble, Amazon, you'll make depending on your pricing, if you go with the default pricing that they kind of set, you'll make $3 to $5 per shirt or per sale. Doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're you kind of take into account that you're really not doing a ton other than providing the design, that's, pretty good. If you can get some, high enough sales, that's some good money that you can make there. Another way that you can do print on demand, which is becoming more and more popular, is using a platform like Etsy. You can do Etsy, which is more of a website that's designed for crafters, things like that. So you can kind of make a little brand. Maybe you're doing, focusing on baby shirts or, parenting, things like that. You can be a little bit more specific about what you're trying to promote on your own, Etsy store. From there, you would make a connection to a print-on-demand provider. There's, many out there. Printful is probably the most popular one or most well-known. So you can go Printful, you can go Printify, Shirtly, Print Genie. There's all sorts of different ones, but you use a connector between your Etsy store and your print-on-demand provider. So when an order comes in, it automatically is sent to your print provider. They print it, they package it, and they ship it off to your customer. It works out really nice. A lot of folks are doing it, but there are some things you need to be aware of. Compared to the Amazon way where you just upload it and set it and forget it, with Etsy, you're going to want to make sure, A, that you're on top of your stock. Like if a say you're using Printful and you're selling a Bella canvas design shirt with a design on it, and let's say it's a red one and Printful's out of red, you're gonna need to be able to either have a substitute so that the order gets automatically put in, or you can tie it in so that it looks like it's out of stock on Etsy. But you want to make sure you're on top of that. With stock is very important. Delivery times is very important. So you got to make sure that your delivery times are set to what your print provider has. Because if you're saying, oh, this will ship out in 2 to 3 days, and Printful is saying it's going to be 7 to 12 days, that's going to look bad on you on Etsy. You're going to get bad reviews and things like that. Again, on Etsy, you're going to also have to handle customer service. So if there's any issues, you're going to be the front person, you're going to be the front line that's going to take the call or take the email and, have to deal with the customer. Most of these print providers offer good customer service. So if there's any issue on the quality, if there is a mistake, they'll usually, ship out another one right away to your customer. So most of these guys are pretty good about that. Some things you do want to be aware of, though, when you're doing this method is also that your quality control might be not as good as if you were doing it yourself, type of thing, right? So just be aware that you have to on Etsy, most of the folks that are on there that are doing crafts are usually doing it themselves. So for you, with this, you also want to make sure that you're giving that customer service and all that good stuff. Another way that you can do it, and another method that's becoming more and more popular, is selling your shirts, or you're basically creating your own brand using Shopify, BigCommerce, or even WooCommerce on a WordPress website. The benefits there is that you're not paying any fees to anybody. So like on the Etsy, you're going to be paying fees for each listing, and then they get a cut of each sale. Here, you're going to get 100% of everything other than what you pay for the hosting on Shopify, which is really nice. But one key thing, Etsy, Amazon, Redbubble, just like eBay, they all market themselves, so they always have traffic going to their platform. If you're on Shopify, BigCommerce, or WooCommerce, you're going to have to figure out a way to get traffic to your store. Various ways to do that, you via social media, if you're building a brand, whether it's Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Pinterest, there's all sorts of ways, and there's all sorts of gurus out there that'll definitely, have ways to get that done. But that's one thing. I think a lot of people forget that, and we've talked about it before in our Shopify video, where that is one thing that you really have to take into consideration, is that you're responsible to get traffic to your store, or else it's just going to be a store that's just sitting there. So be aware of that. But in the same way as Etsy, Shopify, BigCommerce have what they call integrations into Printful, into Printify. Just about every of the major print-on-demand shops that are out there have integrations, especially with Shopify. Shopify is probably the most popular one. But BigCommerce, I've done it with BigCommerce and Printful. Same type of thing. An order comes in, it is done, and it goes through your system, they pay, and then it'll basically shoot over to Printful or Printify, and then from there it's basically goes through their system, printed, and they get the address from you, from your Shopify, and will ship it right out to your customer directly, which is a really nice feature. It can be hands-on. Again, you need to know about your stocks. You want to make sure that if a black shirt, in a specific size isn't available by your print provider, that it's not going to be available to sell on Shopify. Printful probably does that the best, where if there is a, black shirt is out, when you go to your Shopify store, they'll basically show it as out of stock, which is really nice. Their API integration is probably one of the better ones. But again, when using a print provider, there's all sorts of other issues that you can run into, whether it's usually during the Christmas time, like right now. Unless I want to say that they basically cut off December 10th, I think they did this year, which is a lot earlier than normal. Normally it's a little bit later, but they did a December 10th cutoff of basically anything ordered after December 10th, they're not guaranteeing is going to get there for Christmas. So you need to be aware of that. Every now and then, like with the pandemic, things are constantly changing as far as their warehouses. If they have a warehouse in California or New York, it's going to be, the production time is going to be probably a lot slower, during the, if there's a shutdown or anything like that in that state. So you got to kind of be on top of that, just so uh, you know, if there's going to be any delays to your customers, so you can make them aware of it. I'll be honest, we've been doing Shopify with, print integrators or print on demand shops, and to get stuff out on time, there's been times where, like, I usually like to use either Printify or Printful. Those are my two go-to. Shirtly was really good. I really like the quality of Shirtly. So, but they basically did some upgrades. They created another manufacturing facility, and that created a lot of delays. And that's where it sucks. When you have customers that have ordered stuff from you, and all of a sudden there's a delay for some reason, and you need to kind of work with your customer or try to figure out what you can do. So what I've done, and it's worked out decently for me. It's a little bit more manual. So, and a lot of our, my main store, I actually turned off the auto processing feature. So when an order comes in to my Shopify store, normally it will automatically go to the print provider, and they process it and then start working on it. I turned that off. And the reason I did was that allows me to manually pick a different provider if I need to. So if there's going to be an issue, if the shipping times or print times are real slow with Printful or Printify, I can go to Print Genie or another provider and, usually get it out. So what I've tried to do is get all my shirts, try to stick with for the brand, a specific brand of shirt that I know is available, and also the colors that are available at different print providers that are kind of like readily available. And that way I can jump around if needed, especially if, like during this year with the pandemic and different states closing, it's been very handy to manually do that. Once we're back to full speed and everyone's back to normal, then I probably might turn that back on and stick with a specific company. But just FYI, you don't have to automatically process them. We're small enough right now. I mean, if we were to get, where we're getting, 100 orders a day, then I'm sure that'd be a pain in the butt. But for now, it seems to be working. Couple other things to know. So, that's kind of like the print on demand, the different levels that you can get in. Couple notes on that though. If you do merch by Amazon and Redbubble, I think just with anything that we do in the hustling side or the hustling businesses that we do, if it's easy, it's going to be flooded. So merch by Amazon, Redbubble are flooded. So starting out now, merch by Amazon is not what it was a couple years ago, where, when it first started out and people were making tons and tons of money on it. It's a lot more competitive. There's just tons of shirts out there. So you can do merch by Amazon ads if you wanted to. But just FYI, if you're starting out there, be patient. A lot of folks start out, their shirt business, and they're like, oh my God, I'm not getting any sales. It sucks, and you just got to be patient. You just got to keep feeding it. As an example, I started mine a couple of years ago. I'm a tier 2000 on merch by Amazon. We make, some good sales. I usually average, maybe let's say $200 to $500 a month, in profit that I get from Amazon. But my wife, who started hers just this year, I think her best month, has been $15, right? She sold 3 shirts in a month. So again, don't get frustrated. Just keep feeding it. She moved up to tier 100, which is great, and little by little, it's going to be one of those that, is not going to be, I don't think it'll be a business that you can like live off of, completely. But if you can make a couple $100 a month and then you do other stuff along with it, it could be a nice little side income there for you. So, again, also, with Etsy, we've already talked about fulfillment times, making sure you're, because that's where they'll ding you. Your reputation on Etsy and reviews will go down. And once you go down a lot on Etsy, you might as well not even be selling there. It's tough to rebuild it. And then Shopify, of course, you're going to need to drive your own traffic. So one other thing that I have been noticing quite a bit and getting some questions on, you're seeing a lot of folks on YouTube, folks that are, gurus that are basically promoting, oh, you can get your own DTG printer, do it yourself. Your margins are great, make way more money. And that sounds awesome. And they are right in the sense that your margins will be much better. As an example, selling something on Shopify using a Printify or a Printful, you're probably going to make 10 to 12, maybe $15 on the high end per shirt, depending on what you're pricing them out at, right? But if you're pricing it out like around 25 bucks a shirt, you're going to make about 12 to 15 bucks after everything's said and done. Maybe more on like a 12. Now, if you are printing it yourself with your own DTG printer, you're probably going to make $21, maybe $20 per shirt, because the cost of the ink, is going to be pretty cheap, and then you're getting the shirt for like $3, things like that. So on paper, it looks awesome, and ideally at some point, for us, I hope to get there, but I would not try that unless you have the orders already coming in. And that means that if you have a Shopify store, you already have one that's bringing in, 100 orders a month minimum. Because even if you get that on financing, that's a huge payment that you have to make monthly. If you don't have any customers right now, or you're selling 1 or 2 shirts a month, don't even think about that. Keep building it with the print on demand providers. Yes, you're going to make less money on the front end right now, but you want to make sure that you know how to drive traffic. You want to make sure that you know how to make sales off of your Shopify store. Because if you were just to go with a DTG printer, and a lot of these DTG printers that are out there need to be, basically being used. So you can't, if you just turn it on once and do a couple of shirts and then turn it, it's off for the next 2-3 days or even a week or so. When you turn it back on, you're going to have to do a little bit of, maintenance to get those lines, going again so the stuff doesn't clog up on you. So it's very important that if you're going to go that route, or even if it's a white toner printer that's becoming more and more popular, definitely want to make sure that you have the customer base already set. You have the sales that justify it, because again, you don't want to get stuck with a big payment and have no customers. That's not a good feeling. So I would say, like, for us, what we're doing is we want to make sure that we can consistently hit, specific numbers, that we can consistently hit, whether it's 100 shirts, 200 shirts that we're selling a month, and, we're putting money away so that we can buy it without financing. That's one of the things that we're going to try to do, basically, where the business pays for it on its own. I don't want to put out of my pocket. I don't want to be on the hook for it. If the business goes under, I don't want to have to come up with that payment every single month. So it's going to be one of those things where we're going to get one, hopefully, eventually, and hopefully, maybe soon. But again, the point being, we'll get it once we can pay for it directly from the business. Other ways to do it is also, if you want to do heat transfers, that's another way to do it as well. There's Supercolor and all these other, good companies that are doing really good stuff with heat transfers. Again, another way to do it. And if you really want to do it on your own without having to go to a print provider. And again, just make sure you have the customer base, though, and that'll kind of keep driving everything. I think as long as you have sales, if you have sales coming in, that'll kind of determine and push you in the direction that you need to go, which is good. Having a lot of sales is a good problem to have. So I hope you find this helpful. We'll get more into setting up a Shopify store and hooking in a print-on-demand company. So definitely watch out for that. It's actually going to be doing a project that I want to do for a new kind of apparel store. So definitely have that on the horizon, and we'll start putting out some videos doing that. So again, always check out our blog at sidehustleplaybook.biz. We have all sorts of stuff on there. It's continuing, more and more content is coming. And check out our Facebook page as well at Side Hustle Playbook. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.